All right, everyone. How are you all doing today? I am a little bit distracted as of late. And as you've noticed, I'm no longer releasing videos on Friday. And let me explain that really fast to you. I'm about to go back to school for teaching. I'm in class right now for teaching also, but me being the learner. And then I am currently buying a house. And my brother and sister-in-law have moved in with us here at my mom and dad's house for right now. So like right now, if you can hear a sweeper going on behind me, or a vacuum, depending on what part of the nation you're from, that's my mom vacuuming right now. So we're all living in one big happy family. So there's just a lot going on. So I am no longer releasing 2 videos a week, just 1 video a week. That has changed my schedule just a little bit as far as when the next ranking videos come out. Our Lessons Animation Taught Us video will be coming out soon. And then also our top 10 Disney movies before 1989 ranking video will also come out. So let's jump into it right now. Last place for character is Saludos Amigos, Fun and Fancy Free Fantasia, which isn't really a Wartime Shorts movie, but it's close. It's a similar type of style. And then The Black Cauldron is next. Black Cauldron does have some interesting characters, but none of them has much of a character arc. About the only person that has a character arc in The Black Cauldron is Gurgi. He goes from being extremely annoying to sacrificing for the others, which is a good thing. But he's still extremely annoying even when he does it. And then you know it's not permanent, and they kind of retcon the whole thing by the end of the movie. So it doesn't really do it for me anyway. The next movie is The Sword in the Stone. I hate The Sword in the Stone. Once again, we have the same thing. Characters that just do not have much of a character arc at all for themselves. Three Caballeros, so we've got another wartime short, self-explanatory. And then Oliver and Company. Oliver and Company, I know this is going to be a bit of probably a hot take for a lot of you, because I know a lot of you loved Oliver and Company. I found the characters to be very stereotypical and sterile almost. It seemed like a computer made them, a racist computer. I wasn't much of a fan of the stereotyping that they had in that movie, and didn't have the touches that Disney came to be known for, especially in the Renaissance. And even at this point, I would make the case were known for previously, especially in the Silver Age. We've also got the Aristocats. The Aristocats has some really fun characters. They work together nicely. They're just not that interesting, and that's the problem. It feels like with that movie, there was a lot of just kind of trying to mash together a few of their old hits, do something that was comfortable, and because of that, they lost a lot of the magic that they had in their previous endeavors. We've got Make Mine Music, Sleeping Beauty, which I detest. Actually, some of the characters in Sleeping Beauty are not that bad. Prince Philip was actually one of the first somewhat developed characters as far as the princes go. All the other princes had just kind of been a body with a face on it, someone to take care of the princess, but they really weren't cared about a whole lot. So in this case, we actually had a good character as far as the prince goes, but we still have Sleeping Beauty herself is extremely bland. The old fairies are extremely annoying and are not able to do anything that really affects the story in any kind of a positive way at all. Everything they try to do fails. We have the king and his little drunk manservant and the other king that all come together and like sing a couple songs that have no effect on the plot whatsoever. So there was just a lot of gags. Again, kind of the Snow White effect. Snow White. When you compare Snow White with Sleeping Beauty, there's a lot of similarities. So much so that Walt was even trying to make sure that they didn't do it too much similar. 101 Dalmatians. Here's where things I think kind of start to change. 101 Dalmatians, Ichabod and the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad both have a lot more interesting character development. I really like the characters, especially of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. 101 Dalmatians, they are they just become a bit more fun. Now we're going to move on to Ichabod and Mr. Toad, because that's the one I really want to talk about. And Ichabod and Mr. Toad is, you just have some really awful characters. Like, Ichabod is a terrible man, and so is Mr. Toad. They are both awful, and yet that's kind of what makes it fun. There's a lot of enjoyment in watching them fail, watching them be selfish, and a lot of lessons that we can learn through them. Dumbo has just such a simple story, such simple animation, and its character development is very simple too, and yet it's so simple it's almost complex. It creates such a profound emotional experience when you're watching Dumbo, especially when you're listening to like Baby Mine, and there's not a lot of character development as far as what they say. It's what they do. It's the expressions on their faces that just make you ache for these animals, and I love that, especially when you can do something without words that's worth its weight in gold. Now, Melody Time was surprising to me because even though it is a wartime short, it does have a lot of little moments where there's things you can learn from. There are character developments that are just fun to watch happen on the screen. And there are some characters, once again, that are just kind of terrible people that make you kind of ache for what you want them to do, even though they don't do it. Also, a couple little instances of stories that don't go where you think they might go. Are in this movie. And I'm not going to spoil that. Go check it out if you want. I would definitely recommend that for Melody Time. Then we have The Jungle Book, The Rescuers, and Robin Hood. All of these, I think, have very solid characters, good stories. You could even continue this on to Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan. They have some great characters, but they are very standard stories. But even then, you're learning so much about the characters throughout the movie. They were all made in a similar time frame, all in that Silver Age, and they created some really, it's like Disney had a stride and they knew what they were doing and how to create good, solid characters that people can really sink their teeth into and relate with also. That's a really bad metaphor, but there you go. The next movie is Lady and the Tramp. It's not my favorite movie for character, but it's kind of my personal favorite. It's not number one on the list, but it is kind of my personal favorite because of the way that they use everything for you to kind of point back to character. The animation points back to character. The script points back to their characters. The music points back to their characters. The way everything is intertwined in Lady and the Tramp creates a really strong net of what the characters are. Just even when you are initially introduced to Tramp, the way all of the lines are very sharp and ragged and very industrial looking, it makes you realize the background he's from. And when you see Lady introduced, immediately you see soft textures and rounded edges, and it just looks like the lap of luxury. You immediately know these things without having to have them force-fed to you through the Disney Animation Studio. They trusted their audience to understand a lot about these characters, and I, for one, very much appreciate that. The Great Mouse Detective, actually, this is a similar type of a situation, especially as far as Ratigan goes. He's just a great character altogether. You also just love Olivia from the very beginning. She might be a bit too cutesy maybe for some, but for me, it just really pulled on my heartstrings. And then to immediately have her dad ripped away, you feel for all of these characters. You feel for Dawson. You understand the characters themselves. Even the bat, that evil little bat, he is someone that you feel sympathy for because you realize that he is under the thumb of this horrible master. So just characters all around were great. There was not a stupid side character anywhere. No SSCs in this whole movie, and that made me extremely happy. Cinderella, I really had to take off my happy pink nostalgia glasses and try to think about this movie from a cynical perspective. I loved Cinderella growing up. I even have a picture of her at Disney World where I went and met her, and I was so excited. We missed her like 3 times that day, and I had to go see Cinderella. So I've always loved Cinderella, but I didn't want that to affect me watching the movie. But even as I was trying to take a cynical view on it, I just loved these characters. I loved this movie. Even the mice, which the mice are by far the worst part of the movie, but they are solid characters. You care about them. You understand them. There are bad things about them. For instance, the female mice don't have anything to do except for to sew. Maybe an issue. Gus Gus is horridly annoying. But those are not the worst things for a movie to do. As I looked through it, I realized what her motivation was and the way that she completes her own arc and the way that she is active in her story. I loved that. The Fox and the Hound, again, has some incredible character development, and it's because, to me, I view The Fox and the Hound as an allegory. You can go check out my review if you want to understand more about that, but it is fascinating to me, and I could probably write a book. There's so much to unpack. Pinocchio is a great movie also, and it's because Pinocchio himself is not the good guy. Meaning, like, he is our protagonist, but he is not just solely good. He has a lot of relatable flaws. He is a character that you care about because you understand his imperfections. And because of that, he is also someone who creates his own issues throughout the movie. There's a lot of issues that happen throughout the movie, and every single one of them are things that he just steps right into knowingly, not knowing that they were going to cause the issue, but knowing that he shouldn't be doing it. And there's so much naivete in him, and so much just mischievous even, that to me, he was a very solid character, and I love that from him. And especially this early on in Disney, it's pretty amazing. Bambi also is one of my absolute favorites. It combines what both Pinocchio and Lady and the Tramp did. It has a lot of the issues that Bambi finds and kind of walks into as he's learning. He has, again, a lot of naivete, but it is also just a story about nature. A lot of troubles that come after people, or in this case, animals in nature. And it was him overcoming those struggles. I loved watching Bambi. There's so much reality to it, and I just loved these very strong, very well put together characters in Bambi. So that's my ranking for character. Tell me what you think. What characters do you think are the best leading up to 1989 and the beginning of the Renaissance? Tell me which characters you loved. I'll put a list of all of the movies right here. So tell me which ones are your favorite movies out of this list, and I will talk to you again in another week with, I believe, another one of these ranking videos. Maybe a Cedar Point video. We'll see. Talk to y'all later. Bye.